It is amazing to see how the last days are unfolding. Everything is brewing down to a showdown between my Father's word and man's rebellion to it. His word testifies that the mark of the beast is rebellion to his word. His word bears witness to itself. His word is truth. It is the truth that sets us free. His word will never pass away. It will endure forever. He has let his word be trampled down in the hearts of most, while he called out those who have hearkened to it in order to become his first fruits. And now we have reached a point in time when he will finally be exalted, and he will be exalted through his word. He tells us how he will be exalted. In Isaiah 5:16 we read, YEHWEH of hosts will be exalted in judgment. Elohim, who is holy, will sanctify righteousness. He sent his Son to us to bear witness to his word. And his Son said that in the last day all will be judged by his Father's word. His word is the judge, and YEHWEH of hosts will be exalted through his word. It is incredible to witness the willful rebellion to his word that sweeps the earth, and especially the scattered nations of Israel who have his word available to them firsthand. The last video that I posted was entitled Calling Good Evil. It is amazing how the world calls good evil and how they call evil good. It is amazing how they are so wise in their own understanding that they will not hearken to the voice of YEHWEH Elohiym, our self-existing creator who gives us life and air to breathe. It is amazing how most people tell him who he is and what his righteousness is. They tell him how it is. He is perfect righteousness, and his word defines his perfect righteousness. Our righteousness is like filthy rags to him. Our judgment is an abomination to him apart from being in agreement with his righteous judgment. And his word defines his righteous judgment. It tells us to purge out evil from our midst, and it tells us what evil is. Rebellion to his word is evil because it is rebellion to his righteousness. It's rebellion to his character. He gave us his word to help teach us his perfect righteousness. He created evil so that we could learn to be set apart to his righteousness. He created it so we could learn to recognize his righteousness and be separated away from evil and made in his image through living his righteousness. He is looking for those hearts who desire his righteousness and desire to purge out all that opposes it. Most live their lives for the here and the now and tell him what is right and what is wrong. They do not live to become our Elohim's righteousness. Do you think that he wants someone who will not obey his instructions in his family for eternity to cause rift and division? If this were the case, why are we even here in the flesh? Why not just go straight to his family for eternity without the purifying process? I will tell you why. It is because we are here in the flesh to be taught by him to become as he is. This is why he created us. This life in the flesh is to purify us and to make us white as snow before his face. And this is accomplished by walking with him in a covenant to become as he is. When we walk in this covenant, his Son's blood atones for our transgressions so that we can continue to be made white. His Son's blood being applied on our behalf is conditional on this genuine repentance. And genuine repentance is turning from our ways to his ways. His perfect righteousness equates to perfect love. We have to love one another, and his word teaches us how to love one another. It is not the syrupy love that man dishes out to one another, winking their eye or making allowances for evil. People have this crazy idea that we can love evil away, and it does not work this way. True love requires, at least it doesn't work this way with man's kind of love. True love requires our Creator's righteous judgment. It's not man's syrupy type of love. If man's syrupy love could cast out evil, then why are the children in America or even the rest of the world the way that they are today? Most parents in Christianity live their lives revolving around loving their children with man's kind of love. Yet look at what they are becoming. Look at the world and the shape it's in. They are self-indulgent, and their lives are all about themselves and what is in it for themselves. Their lives are not centered on why we are here, and they grow up learning to give their Creator lip service at best. At best, there are some families in Christianity that have their family lives somewhat focused on who they call God, but their image of him is false. Their hearts are nowhere near our Elohim's righteousness. Their false worship to him is based on rebellion to his word. How can we learn to love as he loves based on his righteousness if we rebel against his instructions? Here is what he says about rebellion to his word in 1 Samuel 15, verse 22 and 23. Does YEHWEH delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices like he does in obeying his voice? Behold, to hearken to YEHWEH and to obey him is better than the sacrifice of the choice of rams, because rebellion to him is like the sin of witchcraft or divination, and to press against him is wicked and adulterous. Because you have rejected YEHWEH's word, he has rejected you from being king. This is what he had Samuel tell Saul after he refused to hearken to his instructions that he gave him through his prophet Samuel. In the past several months, I have witnessed many follow this same path by rebelling to what YEHWEH Elohiym is telling them through me. The reason is always the same. Their pride swelled up in them and they bowed up to the word of Elohim instead of hearkening to it. He puts his word in his prophets' mouths. They never admit that this is the reason, to be referring to the pride for the rebellion, but it is. Because of their pride, they know better than his word that is and has been given through his prophets. They know better than his prophets do. And the end result is they rebel against them and end up killing them, and nothing has changed even today. It's the same way. Why do you think that they killed Yeshua and the other prophets? It is because they corrected them and told them that they were wrong. They warned them from our Elohim, but they took the approach of Korah and rose up in rebellion, telling them that they already were good to go with their Creator. They did not need to be told by his servants that they were wrong. They refused the correction that he sent to them through his prophets. They already knew better because they were lifted up in their beliefs, thinking that they did not need the prophets. And this has been the case even with people who have acknowledged that his prophets were his prophets. Many of them knew that Yeshua was a teacher sent by Elohim. Nicodemus said to him, "We know that you are a teacher sent by Elohim." And there were many others who followed him, but went away when his teachings got too tough for them to accept. Satan lurks around looking for a crack to enter into those who start to stray away and question his word. This is when he is allowed to sift them. This has always been the case, and it continues to this day. Maybe things are not happening quite the way that some of you thought that they would, and you start to doubt the word. You start to doubt that I'm his servant. Or maybe your righteousness trumps our Elohim's righteousness, and you think that you know better. When doubt starts to enter in, then you are given over to Satan to be sifted. This is exactly what happened with Eve in the garden. He was allowed to have her ear, and he said, "Did YEHWEH really say that you shall not eat of the fruit in the garden?" Of course, he usually twists the word like he did that day, but sometimes he even quotes it verbatim, but out of context, like he did with Yeshua in the garden. Then he gets those who give him ear rising up in their hearts, like he did with Korah and the 250 noblemen of Israel that followed his rebellion. In Numbers 26, verses 9 and 10, we read, "And the sons of Eliab, Nemuel, Dathan, and Abiram." This is that Dathan and Abiram which were famous in the congregation, who quarreled against Moses and against Aaron in the company of Korah, when they quarreled against YEHWEH. And the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed them up together with Korah, and this company died when the fire devoured 250 men. And they became a sign. Korah's rebellion and what happened to him and his family and the men that followed him is written in our Elohim's word to be a witness against whosoever wants to quarrel with YEHWEH's anointed. This is what his word says. Do you know better than his word? Does this not apply to you because you have some special relationship with your Creator, you believe? He is saying that when you quarrel with my servants, you are quarreling with me. This is a sign that he gave and a warning in his word, and it is his word. But most of you have no fear of these warnings. The mud that is flung at what our Creator is restoring at this time is incredible, even though his word prophesied that one would be sent to restore these things in the last days. Usually it is coming from Saul of Tarsus's followers that claim that our Creator's Torah is no longer valid, but often it even comes from those who have started coming to our Elohim's call. My most recent adversaries have risen up in the spirit of Korah, have taunted back that they are still standing here and that the ground has not swallowed them up yet. The reality is his punishment is not always immediate, yet his word says that it is coming. And it is his word. He could be giving a window of opportunity for repentance, or maybe there is a longer-term reason that affects others, maybe to test them and to refine them as part of the purifying process. He has let Satan and his cronies continue for the nearly 6,000 years of man for this purpose, and he will even let them loose at the end of the 1,000-year period to test and prove those who are resurrected. Satan's servants are allowed to continue by design and to test us and to prove us whether we will hearken to these rebellious hearts or whether we will hearken to the word of YEHWEH Elohiym. There is also a reason why our Elohim is holding back his wrath at this time. He is letting this all come to a head, and he has held it back for the elect's sake, as was prophesied to happen by his Son. He is letting Satan's servants mock, and this has been allowed. In some cases, like with Korah, retribution was immediate, and this was immediate to be a sign for all to fear. The test is often simply, will you believe his word for his word's sake and fear going against it? The test is, will you stand with his word or with what you think is right based on your own brand of righteousness? It is all about believing and obeying his word and standing with it. If his word testifies that he has sent me and his word challenges you to stand with me in what he is restoring, this is what his word says to do. Malachi posed this question approximately 2,500 years ago. Malachi 3 verses 1 through 3, Behold, I will send my messenger to prepare the way before me. YEHWEH will seek you and will suddenly come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant whom I delight will come to you, says YEHWEH of hosts. Who will abide, or who will sustain him in the day of his coming? Who will stand when he appears? Because he is like a refiner's fire and like a fuller's soap. And he will set as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer to YEHWEH an offering in righteousness. There are not many liking the purifying and the purging that he has sent me with. Most are standing in opposition to the work that he has sent me with. Some have not liked the fire that has come out of my mouth. They condemn the passion that I have for our Elohim's righteousness. Yet his word says that he delights in this servant that he has sent to purge, to refine. Does his word say that this servant would be sent telling everyone to just confess the name of our Messiah with your mouth and believe in your hearts that he was resurrected and you will be saved? No, the abomination that desolated his word said this. His prophet said that this end-time servant would be sent telling you to make straight your paths and to prepare the way by returning to the Torah with the statutes and judgments. He has set forth this offering of righteousness through his servant, but almost none of you are hearkening. Can you see why his wrath is coming? Instead of hearkening to this offering of righteousness, most of you want to argue against it, want to argue against me and what he's restoring. Your hearts are stiff-necked and rebellious and uncircumcised. You let your pride get in the way. Some of you have not been happy with me for exposing the hypocrisy of Christianity and calling them Satan's servants. Some of you have not liked our Creator's righteous indignation that has come forth from my mouth and calling evil evil, calling it what it is. It just so happens that his righteousness is about ready to be exalted by the same words that have come forth from my mouth. His righteousness is who he is. He will be exalted through his judgment, and his word is the measuring rod that all will be judged with. He has sent me to bear witness to his word. If you think that Korah's rebellion was not given to be a sign for all others who rebel against his prophet, you are simply rejecting his word. If you think that he has not made me his prophet, you are simply rejecting his word as well, because he gave us his word that when he sends forth his end-time 5-point Ezekiel sign, that you can know that it is from him. This is a promise from his word through his prophet Ezekiel. And there's all sorts of other signs too, the turning the water into blood and such. And one crazy thing is that several of the people that have went away and accepted that sign, first thing they do is go to mocking the water into blood. Happened, I've spoken about that in time past with the person rebelling to taking down some of his websites, and it's happened again recently. Amazing how that's the first thing they want to go rejecting, although it's the most obvious sign that there is. Incredible. Rebellious hearts. The result that happened to Korah and his family was to be a sign of what will happen to all who rebel against his word that he has sent through his end-time servant, and all of his servants for that matter. In reflecting back on those who have rebelled against what I have spoken, they all have one thing in common with Korah. When Korah came to Moses, he said in Numbers 16:3, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, you take too much upon you, seeing that all of the congregation are holy, every one of them, and YEHWEH is among them. Why therefore do you lift up yourselves above the congregation of YEHWEH? This is an attitude of rebellion to our Elohim. Moses did not lift himself up. He was chosen by YEHWEH Elohiym from birth. I did not lift myself up to be his prophet either. He gave us proof in his word that he chose me from birth for this job. The proof of this in his word is irrefutable to anyone who believes his word. I keep saying in these videos that this is not about me, because it's not. It's not about Moses. It's not about me. It's not about anybody, any of his servants. It's about choosing our Elohim's righteousness to become ours. It is about hungering and thirsting for his righteousness and purging out that which opposes it. It is about becoming as he is. It is about believing his word that will judge you and being in agreement with it so that you can escape the judgment. If his son says that we will be judged by his word in the last day, he meant it. Why not just believe him? If you are too full of pride and you do not want to be told by his anointed how it is, this is your choice. Prepare to crawl in a hole and cry out for the rocks to fall on you. I have been mocked by many of you because nothing major has happened yet. Just look at your hypocrisy for this mocking. It was prophesied by our Messiah that the destruction would be held back for the elect's sake. Otherwise, no man would survive, he said. In this nuclear world that we live in, how long would it take to destroy the world when one side starts losing? And this is the message that I have been sent with. And what is the message that I've been sent with that rouse most of you up anyway? For some of you, it has been our Elohim's command through me that you stop eating the bread of all of Satan's servants. Talked about this, and it's actually one of the 5-point signs that Ezekiel talked about. Yet this has riled up many of you in the past, telling you to take down the false teachings and stuff you have up on your website. Stop letting Satan's snares and distractions lead you away from your focus on the word. This has riled up a lot of you. For some of you, it has been our Elohim telling you that your interpretation of this verse or that verse is wrong. For some of you, it has been our Elohim telling you through me that you must cover your heads or that you must flee Babylon. And of course, the covering the heads is another part of that 5-point Ezekiel sign. He commanded through that. For some of you, it has been our Elohim's righteous indignation towards evil that has come forth from my mouth that's tweaked you. Whatever the case, it has been rebellion to his word, because his word backs up everything that I've spoken, because it testifies that he has put his word in my mouth. And his word is about ready to be exalted, so most of you had better decide quickly who you will stand with. Like the first witness, I have been sent to bear witness to my Father's word and to testify to his righteousness. He is setting before you life and death. Choose life so that you and your seed may live. His word is the truth that will deliver you, or it will condemn you if you continue to reject it. Our Messiah spoke these same words. He said in John 3:18 that all will be condemned if they do not believe into his name, and he told us that his name is his Father's word. This means that you will be condemned if you do not believe into his word. John 8:32 records him saying that the truth is what delivers us, and he said in John 17:17 that is the truth, that the truth is his Father's word, and it's what sets us apart. It's what sanctifies us. This means that his word is what delivers us. Everything that he taught, Yeshua taught, backs this up. Everything that all of the prophets taught back this up. Yeshua said to follow me, and he was made to be his Father's word in the flesh. Following him means walking as he walked, and he obeyed his Father's word and believed it. If you do not want to believe his promise that he gave in his word that he has sent me, this is your choice. You have simply chosen to reject his word that would deliver you, and you will be condemned because you have not believed into the name of the Son of the Most High, which is his Father's word. You can attempt to keep the commandments on a physical plane and do whatever you want. If you're rejecting his word, you're rejecting it. And for many of you, the real reason why you are rejecting his word is because you have scoffed at and mocked his righteousness. You know better than his word is spoken through his prophets. You are wise in your own understanding. I will finish with what I began with today, the verse in Isaiah 5:16. YEHWEH of hosts will be exalted in judgment. Elohiym, who is holy, will sanctify righteousness. And his judgment is coming through his word. His Son said so. It will be brought forward like a sword out of his Son's mouth when he returns in just 163 days from today and counting. He is suggesting that you are found lifting up the offering of righteousness to him that he has called for through his servant Zerubbabel. He is suggesting that you are found standing with him when his Son returns. The choice is yours to make.